I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had a better place to be tonight. Chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Maui, Hawaii tonight, and the first responders fighting a devastating fire that has engulfed most of the island. Many people had no place to flee the flames and were forced to jump into the ocean. The death toll, as of going on air tonight, has risen to 53 people in the catastrophe wildfires scoring Maui. There is widespread devastation, especially in the historic town of Lanai. Residents describe having to flee with little notice as the fast-moving flames incarcerated homes and businesses. The wildfire that engulfed Lahaina is now 80% contained, authorities said, while firefighters are also making progress against two other major fires on the island. Thousands of people remain displaced, while nearly 11,000 Maui residents that still have a house are without power. The fire have destroyed homes and businesses. Maui hospitals are overwhelmed with patients suffering burns and smoke inhalation. Thousands have been evacuated or been displaced or killed. Search and rescue efforts are still ongoing, but local officials warn that the death toll could rise as more information becomes available. Strong winds associated with Hurricane Dora have fanned the flames, knocking out local communications and destroying homes and historic buildings, including the popular Maui tourist destination of Lahaina Town. If you need help locating missing ones due to the wildfires, the American Red Cross says please call 1-800-RED-CROSS 733-2767 and select option 4. Follow the voice prompts for Hawaii wildfires. Provide as much information as possible to assist in potentially locating your loved one. Please note call volumes are high and callers may experience longer than normal wait times. If you're in the disaster area, you can let others know you're okay by making yourself I'm safe in the Red Cross emergency app, providing you have cell service. My last active duty station in the Army was on Oahu, Hawaii. And I spent many a time over on Maui. It's a beautiful, beautiful island. All the islands over there are very beautiful. And I have some friends that are from there that I serve with. And our thoughts and prayers are with all of them in hopes that they get through this with as much comfort as possible and that rescue workers are able to save more people. But sadly, as time goes on, a lot of people that live on Maui are elderly people, and they weren't able to go jump in the ocean. So they're going to find out that there's going to be a lot more death added to this total in the coming days and weeks, sadly. Our lead story tonight, Craig Robertson of Utah, 74-year-old disabled man who uses a walking cane to get around, was shot and killed yesterday at 6:15 a.m. when FBI agents were serving a warrant at his house. He was accused of making threats post via Facebook and Truth Social against President Joe Biden. Supposedly he was armed, but the FBI has not said the fact that have not even admitted if he was armed or not. This is speculation and secondhand information that he was armed, or why they felt the need to kill him. Neighbors described Robertson as a frail, elderly man who could barely walk and live with his disabled, blind son. They said he was the son's only caretaker, and he was in the house at the time. Allegedly, he posted threats against Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, Attorney General Merrick Garland, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Vice President Kamala Harris as well, according to the FBI. Travis Lee Clark, who's known Robertson for years from working at their church together, described Robertson as frail of health, a masterful woodworker, an established icon in the community. Robertson propped himself on a wood walking stick he had carved himself, said Clark, who was surprised he was considered a serious threat to anyone. He was a boomer, and he was very political and sometimes made off-color jokes, but nothing that indicated it was a threat, said Clark. According to court documents, 2 FBI agents came to Robertson's house after he had been warned about making threats, this time from a post he made on Truth Social back in March, 5 months ago. But yesterday, Joe Biden was scheduled to visit Utah. So the agents went there. Instead of 5 months ago, they went there before Joe Biden landed. They found Robertson wearing a Trump cap and what one described in a search warrant affidavit as an AR-15 style rifle lapel pin attached to his shirt. There is still no mention of whether or not he actually had a weapon on him or why they felt the need to shoot him. Now, if he did have a weapon on himself and he did point it at the agents, well, that's justifiable right there. But we don't know that yet. This is an ongoing story, and it might be months, years, or never that we get the actual truth of why this man was killed. Former President Donald Trump said he is refusing to sign a loyalty pledge to the Republican Party. I'll repeat that. President Trump said he is refusing to sign a loyalty pledge to the Republican Party, raising doubts about whether he will be debating fellow GOP candidates. Trump dismissed the idea of making the pledge in an interview with Newsmax on yesterday, telling Eric Bolling, The Balance, that the gesture would not be worth it. I wouldn't sign a pledge, Trump said. Why would I sign a pledge if there are people on there that I wouldn't have? I wouldn't have certain people, as you know, somebody that I endorse. So why would you sign a pledge? The former president said of the candidates field. I could name 3 or 4 people that I wouldn't support for president. So right there, there's a problem right there. There's a problem. Trump took particular issue with the low bar for entry into the Republican debate regarding polling percentage and national support. Former president said he would not want to give unpopular candidates with only a percentage of a vote a chance to say nasty things about him. You look at the debate, and they want you to debate, but you're debating. It's not really fair. Someone like Asia Hutchinson, who's polling at 0%, will ask me nasty questions, Trump said. Someone like Chris Christie, who's failing at 1%, and he's going to be asking me nasty questions, and others too. Trump also cited decisions by previous Republican presidents, such as Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon, who skipped primary debates. And I don't know if that's fact or not. Why would you want to do that when you're leading by so much? Trump asked. He concluded, but I'm going to look at it very seriously. I'd like to do it. I'd actually gotten very good marks on debating talents. But you want to be, they want a smart president. They want somebody that's going to be smart. So we have to do the smart thing. I don't know how to take that. There is a shit ton of Republicans that I wouldn't spit in their mouth if they were dying of thirst, but I'm still loyal to the Republican Party. There are people that trash me all the time, right here on this platform, in text messages, in email. Some of them Republicans. But I'm still a loyal Republican. And if I was going to run for president or any position, Congress or Senate, I would do so on a Republican ticket. And knowing that there's going to be people that are probably polling less than I would, who knows, this is a hypothetical situation, I would still be loyal to the Republican Party. So I don't understand this. But I read it verbatim exactly the way it was written up. And I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. More to come, I guess. Joe Biden has secured a $6 billion deal to free Americans in exchange for jailed Iranians. The New York Times first reported about the prisoner swap agreement earlier today. Once 5 Americans in prison in Iran are allowed to return to the United States, the Biden administration is said to have agreed to release a handful of Iranian nationals serving prison sentences for violating sanctions on Iran. Sources told the Times the United States also agreed to unfreeze nearly $6 billion of Iranian assets that are being held in South Korea, transferring the funds into an account in the Central Bank of Qatar. The U.S. government says the American prisoners were all wrongfully detained on bogus spying charges. We have received confirmation that Iran has released 5 Americans who were unjustly detained and has placed them on house arrest, National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson said in a statement. While this is an encouraging step, these U.S. citizens should have never been detained in the first place. We will continue to monitor their condition as closely as possible. Of course, we will not rest until they are all back home in the United States, the statement added. Until that time, negotiations for their eventual release remain ongoing and are delicate. We will therefore have little in the way of details to provide about the state of their house arrest or about our efforts to secure their freedoms. According to the Times, the Americans were transferred from the notorious Evin prison in a hotel to a hotel in the Iranian capital of Tehran, where they will be detained for another few weeks before being allowed to board a plane to come back to America. Another person, an American woman with dual Iranian citizenship, is said to have already been released on house arrest earlier this year, the Times reported. The U.S.-based lawyer Jared Genser also acknowledged the move to the Associated Press. The move by Iran of the American hostages from Evin prison to an expected house arrest is an important development, Geisler said in a statement. While I hope this will be the first step to their ultimate release, this is at best the beginning to the end, nothing more. But there are simply no guarantees about what happened from here or what will happen from here. The prisoner swap agreement mentioned by Omar Qatar and Switzerland is to be carried out over a series of coordinated steps. The move comes amid months of heightened tensions between Iran and the U.S. A major American military buildup in the Persian Gulf is currently underway, with the possibility of armed U.S. troops boarding and guarding commercial ships traveling through the Straits of Hormuz, though with 20% of all oil trade passes. Iranian media in the past identified several prisoners of interest with cases tied to violations of U.S. export laws and restrictions on doing business with Iran. The alleged violations included the transfer of funds through Venezuela and the sale of dual-use equipment that the U.S. alleges could be used in Iran's military and nuclear programs. Iran has been enriching uranium and stockpiling it as a part of its advanced nuclear program. Iran also wants access to assets frozen abroad, particularly some $7 billion in Iranian assets tied up in banks. Already, Tehran seized South Korean oil tanker aimed at the dispute and threatened further retaliation just yesterday. There was a time not too long ago, my friends, when America did not negotiate with terrorists under any circumstances. Those times ended during the Obama administration, which Joe Biden was the vice president for. So here's a question for you. I want you to think about how many Trump supporters there are in America. And out of those, how many do you think should be labeled as neo-Nazis? Personally, I would say less than 1,000 out of the 50 million plus Trump supporters. Democrat Arizona Governor Kate Hobbs requested the social media website formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, to censor critics of her tweet that compared supporters of former President Trump to Nazis. In August 2017, while serving in the Arizona State Legislature, Hobbs attacked Trump in a tweet when she compared the former president's voter base to neo-Nazis. That's right, all 50 plus million. Trump has made it abundantly clear he's more interested in pandering to his neo-Nazi base than being president for all Americans, Hobbs wrote on her campaign. Hobbs was roasted online for the tweet, which did not sit well with Hobbs as she advanced in her political career to become Arizona's Secretary of State. The post had critics online calling into question Hobbs' impartiality when administrating the election, and according to emails obtained by Fox News Digital from conservative political organization Arizona Capitol Oversight, Hobbs tried to get Twitter, now known as X, to censor the critics against her. On November 13, 2020, Hobbs emailed Twitter using her official Arizona State email, asking the support team to take action against her online trolls. Then Twitter asked for more information and for Hobbs to provide examples for her request, which Hobbs was unable to provide. Hobbs responded by claiming that she was being harassed by alt-right online critics after calling political opponents Nazis. I'm not sure I can provide the information you're asking for because I report them and block them multiple users at the same time, Hobbs wrote using her official resources as Secretary of State. The alt-right got a hold of a 3-year-old tweet on my account and have been sending harassing, abusive, and threatening tweets and direct messages for the last 2 days, she added. Fox News Digital reached out to X, formerly known as Twitter, and Hobbs' office about the emails asking for Twitter to censor posts critical to her post comparing Trump supporters to the genocidal Nazi regime, but they did not get a response. These emails leave no doubt that Kate Hobbs abused her position of power in government. She violated the First Amendment rights of people across Arizona in order to suppress valid criticism and prop up her 2022 governor campaign, AZ's Capitol Brian Addison said in a statement to Fox News Digital. It's imperative that further investigation be initiated to shine a light on just how far Hobbs' unconstitutional censorship campaign went and whether it continues to this day. The revelation of Hobbs' emails comes as the federal government faces accusations of bearing its involvement in censorship of Americans online. A federal agency and the Department of Homeland Security has been scrutinized for what critics argue is suppression of dissident political views under the guise of combating disinformation now appears to be bearing evidence of its alleged censorship, expert watch groups said. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has come under fire for working with big tech companies to flag and take down social media posts related to elections, related to elections, COVID vaccines, and a range of other issues that were deemed medical misinformation. Now it appears the agency may be concealing its effort to monitor domestic content posted by regular Americans and focusing exclusively on its campaign to combat foreign actors in what some observers say is a move designated or designed to hide government overreach, according to research complained by Mike Bentz, the foundation of the Freedom Online's executive director. CISA pulled a fast one on the American public by setting up a social media censorship division in the name of fighting foreign influence, Russian interference, but then quickly seized long-arm law enforcement over domestic opinions online as well. CISA officials knew they lacked the legal authority to do what they did. Now CISA appears to be bearing the evidence of its domestic censorship activities right as oversight of potential malfeasance is heating up. Benz is hardly the first person to note CISA had questionable legal authority to combat election disinformation. There was a lack of capability around election disinformation. This is not because CISA didn't care about disinformation, but at the time, they lacked both the funding and the legal authority to do this kind of work. Should be necessary to truly understand how election disinformation was operating. Alex Stamos, director of the Stanford Internet Observation, said last year that an event hosted by Atlantic Council think tank, the Stanford Internet Observation, helped convene the Election Integrity Program, EIP, a project combining a coalition of government, big tech, civil society, academic, and others to defend our elections against online behavior harmful to the democratic process. The EIP worked with CISA and others to target what it deemed as online disinformation. So, if you voted for Donald Trump or you supported Donald Trump, according to the governor of Arizona, you are a neo-Nazi. How does that sit well with you? Speaking of censorship and the way we were censored over COVID, Senator Rand Paul said Thursday that he believes Dr. Anthony Fauci is caught in a clear case of perjury related to his past testimony to Congress about the coronavirus research that was taking place in China. Paul explained why he is pursuing an official criminal referral of Fauci to the Department of Justice for lying under oath. Rand Paul said, quote, "I don't think there's ever been a clearer case of perjury in the history of government testimony, and I don't say that lightly." He said immediately that the government never funded his gain of function research. We now have the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, has admitted that the funding came from the NIH. We have the acting director, Lawrence Tabak, of the NIH, admitting it in writing that it came from the NIH. But now we have really the smoking gun. And that is Fauci in private saying the opposite of what he was saying in public, when he was publicly telling me that absolutely we do not fund gain of function research in China. He said privately, we are suspicious that the virus has been manipulated, and we are suspicious because we know they're doing gain of function research. He then goes on to describe the research and it's exactly the research that the NIA funded. So he's called dead to rights here. But we have an incredibly partisan Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who is refusing to act. So I've taken the extraordinary step of actually going to the local U.S. attorney in D.C. to see if he will act. The problem is there are partisan ships littered throughout the legal system, and people are seeing this, such as in the FBI. You don't get prosecuted if you're a Democrat or in this administration, no matter what you do. Paul pointed to an email from February 2020 in which Fossey detailed a call with British medical researcher Jeremy Farr, who was director of the Wellcome Trust at the time. According to Fossey, those on the task force call included Francis Collins, former director of the National Human Genome Research Institute, and other highly credible scientists and expertise in biology expressing concerns about the fact, upon reviewing the sequence of several isolations of the nCoV, there were mutations in the virus that would be most unusual to have involved naturally in bats, and they were suspicious that the mutation was intentionally inserted into the public domain. The suspicion was highlighted by the fact that scientists in Wuhan University are known to have been working on gain-of-function experiments to determine the modular mechanisms associated with bat viruses adapting to human infection, and the outbreak originated in Wuhan, Fossey wrote, according to a screenshot of the newly unredacted email shared by Real Clear Politics White House reporter Philip Wegman. Fossey inserted that he had never lied before Congress during prior testimony in May, telling Paul that you don't know what you're talking about. Fossey further denied that the National Institute of Health funded gain-of-function research, despite Paul citing a journal article titled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS Related to Coronavirus. So, I, like most Americans, would really like to see the FBI and the Department of Justice do their damn job and put people like Fossey away. But it's never going to happen. Democrat Senator of West Virginia Joe Manchin said today that he is seriously considering becoming an independent and laminated that Washington Democrats' brand has become so bad. I have to have peace of mind, basically. The brand has become so bad. The D brand and R brand, Manchin told West Virginia Metro News Talkline host Hoppy Carshville in West Virginia. The D brand because it's the national brand. It's not the Democrats in West Virginia. It's the Democrats in Washington, D.C. Manchin has been asked several times in the past about a possible party switch, particularly after helping kill off key pieces of President Biden's progressive agenda like Build Back Better. He never ruled it out, but has been hesitant to go much further, preferring to keep his future political plans close, even in the face of a fierce GOP Senate challenger in the West Virginia Governor Jim Justice. This morning, however, he said, I would very seriously think about becoming an independent and leaving the Democrat Party. I've been thinking about it for quite some time, Manchin said. Haven't made any decision whatsoever or any of my political direction. I want to make sure that my voice is truly an independent voice. But he vowed to continue calling out extremists on both sides of the aisle. When I do speak, I want to be able to speak honestly about basically the extremes of the Democrat and Republican Party that's harming our nation, he said. Manchin's last comment came after the fueled speculation of a potential third-party presidential bid when he refused to rule the idea out during a no-labels event in New Hampshire. In his radio interview today, Manchin denied that such a campaign would hurt President Biden, something the Democrat commander-in-chief's allies have warned about. I don't see that favoring either side because you just can't tell how it's going to break, Manchin said. If he switches from Democrat to independent, Manchin would be the second Senate Democrat to do so within the last 10 months, after Senator Christian Sinema of Arizona did so last year. More and more people are waking up in the Democrat Party. I was one of them. I've done many stories about the just outright crazy leaders on the West Coast, Washington State, Oregon, California, the places where Antifa and BLM were allowed to thrive, burn down businesses, police cars, loot, pillage, just attack cops. Hell, they burnt down police stations. I've been very vocal about how horrible that was and how the Democrat mayors in those cities are to blame. They're the ones with blood on their hands by making the cops stand down and not allowing them to do law enforcement the proper way, not allowed to go after people when they're doing this crazy shit. Well, a now retired Seattle police officer unleashed 23 years of pent-up frustration with police and city leaders in an unfiltered, raw, and unapologetic resignation letter. Lieutenant Jessica Taylor, formerly of the Seattle Police Department, retired 10 days ago on August 1st. However, instead of filling out the standard exit interview form, she wrote a scathing letter in which she lambasted Police Chief Adrian Diaz, Mayor Bruce Harrell, and the Seattle City Council for allowing the city to descend into anarchy and chaos. Taylor, who went public with her 15-page triad on Tuesday on the Jason Rantz Show on KTTH, accused the police department of being a breeding ground of lies, deceit, favoritism, and rampant corruption. I have a copy of her letter, which I would like to share with you now, because it sums up everything I've been talking about. Chief Adrian Diaz. This will be a brutally long letter, but after 23 plus years, I have a few things to say. Stand by. What is your problem? Hey, you see me over here doing a show? Go lay down. I'm busy right now, GB. I can't pet you. You're not going to come on the show right now. People don't want to see you at the moment. Maybe when the show's over with. Sorry about that. I'll start over. Chief Adrian Diaz. This will be a brutally long letter, but after 23 plus years, I have a few things to say. Each page is initialed, so no one could do the typical Seattle Police Department, I don't know what happened, it just automatically deleted itself routine. Once upon a time, my job meant everything to me. My passion, pride, and reason for being little did I know and harboring a dark secret. Behind the scenes was a breeding ground of lies, dissent, favoritism, and rampant corruption. The department I once trusted turned out to be nothing more than a circus with boisterous clowns running amok. On August 1st, 2023, I will be retiring from the Seattle Police Department after decades, over 23 long and soul-draining years of my life to this city. I'm writing my unfiltered, raw, and unapologetic exit interview today. I refuse to fill out the form exit interview because it's nothing more than a tool for you to control the narrative, and I won't let that happen. This is my story, and it will be on my terms, not yours. You don't control me anymore, and I won't allow anyone to silence my voice or manipulate the truth. I'm taking back the power and speaking my mind freely, exposing the reality of my experiences without any filters or restrictions. Chief Diaz, let me tell you, the state of the Seattle Police Department And this city is a disgrace. The toxic mix of the Seattle City Council's absurdly the spineless of the mayor and the prosecutor's office, and your failed leadership has accelerated the city's town hall slide straight to rock bottom. The problems were already brewing before you came on the scene, but since your arrival, it's been a free fall into anarchy and chaos. The Seattle City Council has lost touch with reality and is making decisions that defy common sense and basic logic. Their priorities and is playing politics and pandering to radical ideologists rather than genuinely serving the city and its residents' best interests. Their absurd policies have turned Seattle into a playground of anarchists and criminals, and they seem utterly unconcerned with the devastating consequences of their actions. If you haven't noticed, the criminals are running this city, not law enforcement. The perfect combination of failed leadership has created a perfect storm of incompetence and chaos. It's no wonder Seattle's become a laughingstock of the nation and the globe. They are laughing about us on the international news. Aren't you embarrassed? I am. It's mortifying. The city that once prided itself on progressiveness and prosperity has now become a hotbed of crime and anarchy. It's infuriating to witness the city's downfall under the watch of a spineless mayor and a radical city council that seems more concerned with pandering to extreme ideologies than actually governing. Instead of taking decisive action to prevent the city and its citizens, to protect the city and its citizens, the mayor's disregard the rampant lawlessness on our streets. It is a disgrace to see a city leader prioritize political correctness over the safety and well-being of people. Listen, Seattle deserves better, and it's time for a complete overhaul of the leadership that has driven this city and state into the ground. I have never in my life witnessed such weakness when it comes to enforcing the law. Chief Diaz, as you continue to play your political games and manipulate the truth, I know this city's officers and citizens are suffering under your failed leadership and the incompetence of those in power. The people of this city deserve leaders who will stand up for what's right and enforce law and order, prosecute those who break it, and prioritize the safety and well-being of its residents above all else. It's time for a reckoning, and the citizens of Seattle deserve competent leadership. After dedicating over 23 long, soul-draining years of my life to this city, it pains me to leave behind a career that was once synonymous with hard work and one that I truly loved, but the organization I once respected has completely lost its way. When I first joined this department in 1998, my sole purpose was to make a meaningful difference and serve the community. I poured my heart and soul into my work, tirelessly raising substantial funds for nonprofit organizations, spent my personal time doing my best to help people experiencing homelessness to get back on their feet, and strive daily to ensure the safety of our residents and visitors. I took immense pride in my contribution and earned an outstanding public service award for doing so. However, none of that matters. I refuse to ignore the demilitarization and blatant disregard for our officers' well-being under your leadership. Seattle Police Department is dangerously understaffed, and the officers and their families are suffering. The hours are relentlessly long, and due to the staffing crisis created by you, the mayor, and the council. These unsafe conditions are entirely unacceptable, completely unacceptable. They have been in the works for years, and it's unacceptable. Ask any of us if a merger $30,000 hire incentive would attract qualified applicants, the ones our department desperately needs, and the answer will resoundingly be no. You better develop a retention bonus soon and change your MO, or you're really going to be in trouble. Just look at the LinkedIn comments and you see a harsh reality. Money won't keep anyone in this toxic environment. It was never about the money. The intelligence officers will take the money and run, seeking refuge where their voices are generally heard and their well-being is genuinely valued. If your goal, Chief Diaz, was to beat us down and strip away our motivation, congratulations, because you have succeeded with flying colors. It's truly disheartening to witness your complete lack of concern for the welfare of those who faithfully serve alongside you. Instead of taking care of your people, you constantly have your nose crammed up someone else's ass, more interested in playing political games than leading with integrity. But hey, that's been your modus throughout your entire career, right? Conveniently, more deserving candidates were bypassed for you to reach your current position. It's truly remarkable. In a flash, you ascended from lieutenant straight to assistant chief, spending a week or two in that position before becoming deputy chief. It's quite the spectacle. Disgusting, I must say. The good old boy system keeps on ticking. I could go on and on about the shady incidences that happened under your watch. There isn't enough time. This is about the officers, the heart and soul, this once exceptionary department. It's sickening me to witness your complete lack of concern for the well-being of those who put their lives on the line daily, your self-centering, closing your eyes to a sacrifice and dedication of these officers. While you revel in your self-importance, they face the dangers on the streets, valiantly fighting to keep the city safe, all while increasingly limited staffing. But what do these officers receive in return? A so-called leader who is more interested in retaining power than supporting the empowering them. Your unstable appetite for control leaves them adrift without guidance. Thank God they have their moral compass to navigate the treacherous waters because they have been left to fend for themselves. They deserve so much better. They deserve a leader who will fight tooth and nail for their rights, champion their well-being, and inspire them to be the absolute best versions of themselves. Furthermore, they deserve someone who will navigate this ship with unwavering integrity, honor, and genuine commitment to their success. God, I'm loving this police officer right now. Your willingness to become a puppet, a spineless yes man, perfectly willing to throw the entire police department under the bus to achieve your covert spot as chief, complete with a fancy corner office. Your approach rocks of a desperate hunger for control rather than genuine understanding and respecting your police officers. This is a toxic environment where dissent voices were swiftly demoted, silenced, or completely pushed out of office. As I walk away from this extremely toxic environment, I can't help but notice the stark contrast between your approach and the courage displayed by other police chiefs and sheriffs across the state. They respect individual choice and autonomy, while you resort to uninhabited tactics. You're manipulating language, cross dangerous critical ethical lines, attempting to control behavior and emotions. I cannot overlook the erroneous treatment I endured under your watch. You left me an unavailable LTD black hole for 2 years with zero contact, except for sending me a certified letter about getting vaccinated before I could return. My medical condition was well documented, but that didn't matter to you. It didn't matter. This shot came with possible neurological side effects, a potential exacerbating already horrible condition that I had. Your approach, throw the baby out with the bathwater. The lack of communication and support during this time has been unprofessional and despiteful. I should have been afforded an accommodation from the jump, but instead I received an email that approved my request for another one that denied it. Your staff must look at every accomplishment request individually. None of that happened. None of it. Once they realized, though, it made a scramble was on. I didn't know who Emily White is, but she was the poor woman stuck trying to do some slick verbal jumbo and an email to smooth it over, but it didn't fall off the track yet. At that point, it was clear pretext to try to cover the city's butt. Critical, independent, free thinkers figured this out from the get-go. Clearly, you're one of neither of the lackeys. Your failure to address the situation demonstrates a complete disregard for your officers' well-being and basic human rights. It is clear to me, Chief Diaz, that you know you screwed up. I know you screwed up. I can't hold my concern any longer. And I'm not alone in this feeling. The language used to promote the mandate felt like a dangerous ethical line was being crossed. It was just about encouraging compliance, but about using psychological techniques to manipulate behavior and emotions. You're aware of these tactics' impact on our sense of autonomy and individual choices. We were being coerced into compliance with language that implements doing anything apart from what's dictated is wrong. This guilty included approach is troubling, making me question the mandate's integrity and your motivations. I know you'll be quick to blame it on the mayor or governor, and while certainly they are also to blame, seriously, where's your backbone? Do you even have one? The way public health, governments, and media are skillful crafting language and messages to create psychological hooks is concerning. It felt as though we're being played like puppets on a string, and it's unsettling to see those in position of authority like yourself endorsing such tactics. However, sharing information and respecting people's ability to make informed choices is essential without pressure or the government employees cramming it down our throats, manipulating tactics, undermining trust, and eroding our sense of self and community. We're not just members or statistics. We're individuals with thoughts and emotions, and using shame-based and belonging language can harm our self and self-esteem. We can't afford to undermine trust by resorting to manipulating tactics. Informed consistence is the law. Look it up. It's in my requests for accommodations. And if you need help, I'll make you a copy. This is the kind of environment we want to foster, where fear and guilt are used to control our actions. You can shape the narrative and promote genuine understanding and cooperation as a leader. Let's not forget the public health measures have always relied on nudges and presumptive techniques. This time, they took it to extremes, incentivizing with hamburgers, fries, lotto tickets, etc. Hello, urgent red flag, but you ignored it. Everyone is entitled to make their own medical decisions. Don't for 1 second get it twisted. I'm not anti-vax. I've had all my vaccines, but this one was different. To me, it was clear as day that there was agenda at play. I know that you realize the impact of these tactics on our sense of autonomy and individual choice. Your guilt, including approach, and the threat of losing our jobs made it feel like we were being coerced into compliance with language that impeded anything besides obedience was wrong. Sending those in authority using such tactics is disturbing, threatening. Using us like puppets is criminal, in my opinion. But this is why you left me alone in the black hole with no pay and no benefits on the unavailability list. I keep waiting for you to terminate me because I refuse to get vaccinated. But I am sure you understand that terminating my employment would open a can of worms for you. But let me tell you, a can of worms will open no matter what. Maybe not right now, but it will open. and your name will be all over it. Your lack of accountability and the mistreatment I've experienced under your leadership is unacceptable. The truth will prevail. It always does. All medical issues resulting from this shot fell squarely on you, the mayor and the governor. We can't be sure the pharmaceutical companies, but we can be sure of you. It would be best if you had done your research, especially when gambling with the public's lives. I did. Why didn't you? Accelerated cancers, nervous system issues, skin issues, blood clots, seizures, strokes, and even death were all possibilities with the injection. But again, you didn't care. If I were in your shoes, I would have been terminated for refusing to force this on people. There is no way I would ever demand a personal medical decision be forced upon my people. Never. And I will never bend to the mob of corrupt government. But you're a yes man. I even question whether you took it or not. I wonder how many fake vaccine cards are on file. So, congratulations. You have a bunch of pissed off employees who felt they were coerced and are wondering what the hell is in their bodies. I'm not going to mince words. We're fired up. We're being treated like second-class citizens. At the same time, you're flexing your power and waste our hard-earned money and taxpayer dollars on all of your consultants who are trying to figure out the number of deployable officers. Well, why would anyone need to hire consultants multiple times to figure out why the count of deployable officers is always so off? My God, some people were hidden so deep in this department that couldn't find them if you wanted to. They're collecting a check, but where are they? Who do they report to? What is it that they do exactly? Where is their desk? Inquiring minds want to know. People are getting hurt and killed in this city, left and right. I bet most of the citizens of Seattle would love to be able to walk alongside at night in downtown Seattle and not be afraid, but they can't. And it's your fault. You failed them. You failed us. To quote a comment on KOMO from a fellow former law enforcement officer, this is a Lord of Flies scenario. It's true. It is. Hopefully, an attorney with some real guts, someone who won't be swayed by your political maneuvering of cozying relationship with bigwigs, will offer to help us. We need a legal warrior who will fiercely challenge the corrupt eating away at the city's core. You might think you can sweep your shady tactics under the rug, disappearing text, emails conveniently lost, and I don't know, and it wasn't me, becoming all too familiar. Nobody knows nothing. It's astounding. But guess what? We see through it all. We're not buying it. We're trained investigators. It's insulting. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. We know the truth. The officers are under a gag order per the manual, but I'm no longer. I've even heard international misspellings are used in emails, so it's harder for PDR. I know you'll say that's not true, but I've seen what this place can do, and it isn't pretty. Your finger pointing and expert stalling tactics won't work anymore, leaving people on the unavailable list for years, waiting for them to disappear. We're ongoing your word salad games and those secret meetings, the ones where you get to try your story straight. We see it. Enough is enough. Most people will say you can't fight the city. They have deep pockets and they will drag it out forever, which is absolutely true. You will, however, the truth is the truth, and every lie will eventually be revealed. You are aware we're in the integrity business, right? And the wrong people keep getting sent to OPA. Your controlling, bullying, and gaslighting tactics have wreaked havoc on the department, driving away talented, dedicated police officers. A true leader should inspire, support, and empower their team, not intimidate and manipulate them. Yet your leadership style has done nothing to foster but a toxic and demoralizing environment. Your unstable hunger for control has left us all feeling suffocated, like we have no voice or recourse. You created a culture of fear, and it's time for it all to end. If you genuinely care about the well-being of the Seattle Police Department, you step down and allow someone with true leadership skills to take the reins. We need a leader who will stand up for the rights of the officers, protect our Constitution, and prioritize the safety of our citizens. This city deserves leaders who will fight for the principles of this country was built upon and defend the rights and liberties of its people. Furthermore, the witch hunt of officers is shameful and disgraceful. Instead of supporting and standing by those who put their lives on the line to protect this city, you've allowed them to be demoralized and vilified. You are nothing but a yes man. At the same time, a resolve in my commitment to upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States and protecting the God-given rights of Americans. We are as different as night and day. Seattle is the absolute dumpster fire, and I refuse to participate in your circus for one more second. I do not doubt that a reckoning is on the horizon. Your treatment of people, officers, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, assistant chiefs, your mishandling of CHOP situations, the East Precinct debacle, your baseless investigation of officers, your absurd task force, and everything in between will exemplify your abolished leadership. In America, we don't investigate people in search for crimes. We investigate crimes in search of people. Did you forget that's how it works? Before the farmer is expected, what you did to the officers because of their distraction of the political and disgraceful disturbing. This is America. And as far as I know, we are free to move about the country. I'm sure you added their badges to your trophy box. I have zero faith in your ability to lead us. Innocent lives are being destroyed, careers ruined, and families torn apart, all because you lack the backbone to defend the very officers who keep the city running. Removing you from position is the Crystal Palace would be the very first step in the right direction for a department that has become the nation's laughingstock. I have zero faith in your ability to lead. You shouldn't even lead us out of a wet paper bag. It is infuriating to see how quickly you throw your officers under the bus, the first sign of trouble, eager to appease the loud and obnoxious voices calling from their heads. Those officers deserve better than to be treated like disposable pawns in your political game. The Constitution and protections our citizens should be forefront of every decision made in this department, but instead it seems more interested in political maneuvering to saving skin than doing what is right. In conclusion, Chief Diaz, your failed leadership has left a trail of devastation in its wake. The morale of the Seattle Police Department is an all-time low, and officers suffering from PTSD, anxiety, and despair. The toxic environment you created has driven away some of the best and brightest, leaving behind a hollowed-out department. As I leave the Seattle Police Department, I hope those who remain will find the strength to stand up to your failed leadership and demand the change this department desperately needs. Seattle deserves better, and its officers and citizens deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and genuine concerns for their well-being. I have no illusions that this letter will bring about immediate change, but I hope it serves as a reminder that your actions have real consequences. The truth will come to light, and the legacy you have leave behind will be one of failure, incompetence, and a complete disregard for the well-being of officers who faithfully serve under you. This letter is not meant for you because your narcissist nature renders you incapable of caring. You're swiftly replaced me without a moment's thought. No, I write this for the officers, the true heroes trapped in this aimless ship. They deserve a chief who processes unwavering moral fiber and who makes decisions based on what is right rather than whims of political wins. They deserve someone like retired Assistant Chief Steve Westclick or Robin Clark, leaders in the trusted sense of the word. To my fellow officers still trapped in this mess, hope you find the strength to rise above the toxic atmosphere that's been created, take back control of your careers, and demand a leader who respects and supports you. This isn't just my story. It's a story of every officer who was ever led down by a lack of leadership, every officer affected by favoritism, and every officer who's witnessed this department losing its way. It's time for a change, and it starts by holding you accountable for your actions and disregarding the well-being of those you meant to lead. The accurate measure of a leader is not the power they hold, but the positive impact they have on the lives of those they lead. And I hope with every fiber of my being that an outside agency investigates you thoroughly. Your character is truly questionable at best, and the citizens of this great city deserve to know the truth, all of it. This department and city government have utterly been corrupt, and a thorough house cleaning is long overdue. Hope those who remain can rise above the current state of affairs and work diligently towards rebuilding the department integrity and reputation. My sincere wish is that positive change will eventually come, and a leader of unwavering integrity and boundless compassion will emerge from the ashes to restore what was once lost. It's time for you to confront reality. You need support from someone with an ounce of backbone. Those who stand by you are nothing but spineless shellfish, jellyfish. The media shields your scandalous affairs just as you protect yourself. The Seattle Police Department is transformed into a cesspool of corruption, and an independent agency should investigate your actions, which continue to erode public trust. And it is true that you sent officers to OPA because you thought they were spying on you and your girlfriend's condo building. I'm still trying to determine the answer, but someone should look into it. If true, you are using OPA for personal gain and as a weapon. Your resign to dissent and manipulation will come to an end. The truth will prevail and justice will be served. Your house of cards is crumbling, and no amount of political maneuvering will save you from the consequences of your actions. I retired today because I refuse to grant you the satisfaction of adding my hard-earned lieutenant badge to your pathetic trophy box. A collection of badges from the officers you've terminated, which I suspect sits prominently on your desk. Yep, your office has numerous leaks. I earned my lieutenant badge through sheer dedication and integrity. You will not get your grubby hands on it. Hurry, hide it before the press gets wind of it. By the way, who else collects trophy items? That's not normally okay. So as I walk away from the Seattle Police Department, I do so with my head high, knowing that I stood up for what was right and refused to be silenced. My conscience is clear, and I have no regrets about speaking out against the failed leadership that has brought this department and city to its knees. And maybe, just maybe, next time your employees are stalked, terrorized, and their homes destroyed simply for being Seattle Police Department officers, a simple phone call from the chief would be a basic display of decency. You've had 2 employees who serve with PTSD and are forced to move entirely out of the area. Not a peep from the chief. Epic fail. I'm also going to go out on a limb and say you didn't warn other officers to watch their backs because of what was happening to us. PCSO was the investigating agency. If you had any interest in learning the hell we went through. Put a fork in it, I'm done. It should go without saying, but any action taken against me due to this letter, be it by you or your associates, will be seen as an apparent retaliation and harassment. You are a vindictive, power-hungry individual, and I wouldn't trust you as far as I can throw you. You offered me an opportunity for an honest exit interview, and here it is. I will always stand up for what is right, for what I believe in, even if I'm standing alone. Retired Lieutenant Jessica Taylor. By the way, did you seriously badge your way into the Taylor Swift concert and go for front row where people have paid thousands of dollars to be there? And don't you dare say it was work related, because you haven't done police work in years, if ever. If so, please review Seattle Police Department Manual Section 5.001.12 and 5.020 and report yourself to the OPA immediately. Lieutenant Jessica Taylor, please run for mayor of Seattle. Run for mayor of Seattle and clean this corrupt city up. Fire this corrupt police chief and everybody that you're addressing here and how they have treated the people in that department. It is absolutely unacceptable. And she's right. A true leader is somebody who not only respects their people, but their people respect their leader and will follow them into the depths of hell. That's Leadership 101. The people will follow you because they see you setting the example. They see you being the spear. They see you willing to do the hard work, get your hands dirty, and they see you standing up for them. That's what real leaders do. Folks, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you. If you haven't already done so, please check out DouglasDucote.com. Also, in the description of this video and all my videos, you can see where other places you can follow me on social media. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. That's how we do this. Please subscribe to this channel. Share it with your friends and family. Join me over at Rumble. Join me at Truth Social. Join me at Facebook. Join me on Instagram. Those places I post things that have absolutely nothing to do with politics. Some do have something to do with politics. Some are humorous. Some of the things I post are just outright. My wife goes, "What the hell?" I can't tell you how many times I've posted something on Facebook and my wife's come up and went, "You got to be kidding me. Really, Doug?" And then I have to second think it and look at it and go, well, okay, it's probably going to land me in Facebook jail once it gets reported. Yeah, she's right. You know, every good man needs a strong, good woman. And I've got one. And I'm very thankful for that. Folks, whatever you're doing this coming weekend, I hope that you're safe. I hope that you have fun. Please pray for those that are in harm's way over in Maui, and that the first responders are able to get a hold of this situation. And please go to the Red Cross and support them if you can, because they are the active agency on scene, especially the Hawaiian Red Cross. They can definitely use your donations. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time right here. Take care. God bless.